Welcome back into the JumpStart Sports Show. It has been quite some time, Jason. Took a couple weeks off from our shows together. Couple oversleeping days. You took an epi yourself. A lot of responsibility. I took one myself.
Mm-hmm.
Get us fired up for the fantasy draft. It is drafting season, and we just did our draft, which we will recap. But in the meantime, why don't you talk a little bit about what's been going on your end, Jay?
There's nothing much, man. We got done our draft this weekend, which was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
I got some unexpected shampoo and while I was sleeping in the form of shaving cream. So that was a blast. No, man. I mean, everything's go over here. I mean, I really missed you last time. It was
lonely.
It was lonely. Yeah, I said I'm lone wolfing. I made a couple jokes about you, but I didn't know if you'd actually hear them.
Of course.
So I'm glad. I'm glad the pack is back together. Pack is back together.
Speaking of the pack, do you want to talk a little bit about the pregame draft video I threw together to get us hyped for the draft? What did you see from your end?
Well, you were inebriated, and
indubitably,
that's probably the best way to put it. You were not in the right mind, but maybe you had clarity.
Maybe not in the right mind, but in the right heart.
Right. You had a lot of heart. You announced every single player with some little background about all of us. You gave a very special shout out to both Ryan and Henry at different points in time. Yeah, it was great. No, it was really funny that we got to do that to hype up everyone, and thank God the cameo when they were picking the order. That particular individual put Shu and Steven both in the hat. That would have been a huge problem.
The definition of a dumb blonde. I know it's not always the nicest stereotype rolling around, but Jason and I, for the past couple of years, we've just been trying to brainstorm different ways to reveal the draft order rather than just doing something simple, like picking out of a hat, even though that's what this girl did. But we got a cameo for $20 of this swimsuit model. Her name's Ashley Colfage. If you want to go give her a follow, give her a
shout out.
But yeah, I gave her the 10 names, and I guess because my name was submitted as Steven, but the name I put was Shu. She put both of those names in. So technically, I guess I got like 2 draft picks. It was the 6th and 7th pick. So kind of we got lucky, because otherwise, I was thinking about that. If Steven got the 2nd pick and Shu got the 6th pick, we would have had to just do I
think we'd have to redo it.
We would have had to. So she kind of messed that up, but it worked out well.
Mm-hmm. It worked out.
I ended up with the 6th pick. Jay with the 5th pick right in front of me.
As it should be.
He screwed me over. I screwed him over.
That's true.
That's what we've been doing for a while now.
Yeah. It was a blast. I thought that was an excellent intro. I hope to do more of those. Although I'll say it on camera. I already told you this like last week, but I think for next year, an excellent idea for figuring out our draft order. I watched this on Twitter. Is to do a WWE Raw video game, create all of us in it, and make all of us the same stats and whatever, and just see who would beat out who. Because we all know who's coming last.
That could be a great idea. Or another thing I thought of is all 10 of us could each have a child.
Oh.
And we do like a baby race. And
sure.
Whoever gets, they do that like at the halftime of some like NBA games.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a good way to decide the order.
I think Aiden would have a distinct advantage. But I like where your head's at. That's called innovation.
Yes, innovation that excites. So I did that pre-draft video to just get the guys in the league hyped up. It's been all from our college, so it's been a nice way for us to all stay in touch with your close friends and just continue our passion and love for fantasy football. Ryan has Aiden, and I have this fantasy team. It's pretty much my baby.
Oh.
I take care of her very well.
Oh.
Sometimes it
It's a girl?
disappoints. It is now. So yeah, let's go through it. I can pull it up. I also have it here,
Oh, you have it up too?
and we can just kind of go through everyone's pick, and then
Should we go like biggest reaches too?
yeah, we can just go pick by pick and just kind of go through some surprises, what our thought process was. Each pick was 2 minutes long. The draft order ended up being
maybe zoom in a little bit more if you can.
One of our friends, Chris, got the first pick and he bailed out. How do you zoom in? There you go.
Yeah. Oh,
Is that
maybe
a little better?
too big? Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, Chris got the first pick and then he didn't step up to the plate, so we had to find a replacement, which has been a common theme in this league over the years of its 7-year history. And Ryan Sachs stepped up big for us, and sure enough, he got rewarded with the first pick.
Unbelievable.
A lot of people thought, Jonathan Taylor was the secure number 1, but he goes with McCaffrey. What do you think about that move?
To be honest, I made the decision that if I got the first pick, I would have taken McCaffrey. I just think it's such an elite upside. Yes, there are a million reasons not to do it, but if you're looking at both of their best seasons, Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey would outscore him every day of the week. So like I am more prone to swing for the fences than probably others. What would you have done? Would you have done Jonathan Taylor, kind of kept it safe?
Yeah, I've always believed in keeping it safe rather than being sorry, but it's just so unpredictable in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take risks, and based off our PPR format and what McCaffrey means to fantasy, like I remember some games he had last year where like he didn't even do anything productive in the eyes of like a normal NFL game. Like when the Panthers get blown away, and you see McCaffrey had like 8 catches for 50 yards, and then he rushed for like 70, and that doesn't seem like anything special, but that's like 20 fantasy points right there, which is a quiet day for McCaffrey. So that's what he's capable of. Jonathan Taylor really took a big step forward last year. I don't like I said this to you before. I don't know if he's number 1 fantasy material, even though people like Matthew Berry and a lot of other fantasy experts believe so. But I think McCaffrey is definitely the right choice here. It's just a matter of is he able to stay healthy, which he hasn't been able to do over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, I think you couldn't have gone wrong, like with one. Either it was McCaffrey or Taylor. You're either shooting for upside and or you're scared of his injury history, and you're still going to get a ridiculously good talent at number 2 or 1, sorry, with Jonathan Taylor. But I think either way it would have worked. Rosen took Jonathan Taylor, obviously number 2. They were always going to go back to back. Number 3 was Ryan, and he took Austin Eckler. This is pretty expected too, I feel like.
I really thought he was going to pull the trigger on Derrick Henry because he was talking him up the whole time. So I really thought he was going to, but obviously a no-brainer for him to take Eckler.
Yeah, same kind of thing. I mean, the only thing you worry about with Austin Eckler is they keep drafting like 3rd-round running backs, so you wonder if one will eventually hit to take more of the bulk of the carries. Not really an issue in PPR. Austin Eckler is an elite receiver, and he's on a unbelievable team, obviously, with the Chargers. So I feel like he's probably one of the safest RB1s this whole year. And then we had Sam at 4. What are your thoughts on Dalvin Cook at 4? This was where it kind of would change for people, I feel like.
Yeah, this really surprised me, this pick. I was kind of surprised he went here. Sam just has this like infatuation with Dalvin Cook. He had him last year too. Might have even had him the year before, but I've seen in a lot of leagues this has happened where I think it's a little bit on the other, like the later side of the first round, where it's like the 6th pick would be Justin Jefferson and then the 7th pick would be Dalvin. But I was surprised that he took him here. I'm not saying it's a bad move at all. Dalvin obviously has his injury history as well, so it's gonna be interesting to see, if he's able to remain healthy. A lot of people, as Sam did on his team, he benched Alexander Madison just to have as that safety net. But I don't know where else Sam would have gone here. I thought he was going to take Derrick Henry, or I thought he was going to go Cooper Kupp. For Cooper Kupp to have been predicted to go third overall and to drop to 7 was kind of surprising to me. So where would you have gone here? Because I know you can talk a little bit about it now. I know you said you had your eyes all over JJ, but what if Sam say he took JJ? Who would you have gone with at that point?
If he took JJ at 4?
Yeah.
That's a tough question. I would have probably considered Cook. In my head, I wanted Justin Jefferson 3rd through 5th. I would have taken him. Honestly, at any point. Once I cemented Justin Jefferson as the wide receiver 1 in my eyes, that was who I decided. Like, because the more mock drafts and stuff you do, and this is why we did it on this channel, is for preparation purposes. I realized that the chances that you get a very, very solid RB1 in the second round were very high this year, more than usual. And so I figured, last year a huge problem of mine was my receiving core and the consistency of it. Although my running backs are strong, my team still was terrible because of my receivers. And in PPR, you really want receivers, I think. The more I've thought about it, I think you want a receiver in the flex, ideally. So I was gung-ho on Justin Jefferson. I had mocked Justin Jefferson, and we'll go over my second round pick later. But if he was taken, I think I probably would have gone Cooper Kupp or Dalvin. I don't know what I would have done at the time. Probably Kupp. I probably would have gone Kupp. Which you can't go wrong. I mean, the fact that he fell to 7 is pretty nuts. Like, don't mind Henry's horrible, horrible team name that hopefully he'll change, and I hope he hears me because he's right next to me. But Cooper Kupp at 7 was a steal, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was. I wanted Jefferson bad too because I think he's going to be the best.
Would you have taken him if you were in my position?
Yeah. Well, if I was in your position, considering what the first 4 were, I've always been RB1, which is why I disagree with what you said about, and I could be wrong here, but I disagree with when you say in a PPR league, wide receivers are more valuable, because I always look at it from the perspective of a running back, not necessarily Derrick Henry, but someone like Austin Eckler and McCaffrey, and even Najee Harris. When it comes to PPR, they're giving you the rushing yards, and on top of that, when they're like receiving backs, they're giving you twice as many points with the receptions, where you have to just kind of bank on your wide receiver to get you a touchdown or, put up a field day. So that's why I've always, when it comes to PPR, have always thought running backs were more valuable in the first round. But taking Jefferson was not a bad move at all. I think he's going to be what Cooper Kupp was last year. I don't know if he's going to win the Triple Crown or not, but
I don't know.
I think he'll definitely be the number 1 fantasy wide receiver this year. I think he's just so good, and
he's so good.
Just pisses me off even more that we took Mr. Jalen Reagor, who doesn't even have any role in the Eagles right now. But Justin Jefferson was definitely a good pick. And then I was shocked that Cooper Kupp fell. I was absolutely going to take him, but then when I saw Derrick Henry was there and just what he's capable of doing, and as long as he can stay healthy, and no offense to your Giants, assuming he's going to have a field day week 1.
Yeah, no, he probably will. Our rush defense is not looking good.
I just thought it was the easy pick to take there. Jamar Chase might have been a decent pick too, but
for me there was a top 5, and it's tough for many of the fantasy analysts and whatever, kind of thought similarly, which is Jamar Chase was in the last. It was pretty much like CMC, JT. Some people put Eckler there. I told you, even if I was 3rd, I would have taken Justin Jefferson, then Kupp, then Chase. But it's close. Like we talked about in our mock drafts, it could go any way. Like there's so many different outcomes for these 10, and I think more so than usual. I didn't trust Najee this year, so I really didn't like that pick. I wouldn't have taken him even if I was 10.
Yeah, I think if he was there for 10, I would have taken him. It's definitely a risky pick. He had a great year last year.
He was really inefficient though, and the offensive
He
line's
was
bad.
inefficient, and it's just and I think Big Ben had a big role, had a big reason to do with his success. So just in a new offense with a new quarterback, and whether it's Trubisky or Pickett that lasts the season, he's just going to be seeing different looks, and it's going. And I think he's just going to have a bigger workload than he did last year, which could be some cause for concern. But
Yeah, I always when I was mocking, like I was hoping for pick 9. If I got pick 9, I would have gone back to back running back. Alvin Kamara, which we'll get to in the second round, I would have taken. I would have I wouldn't have personally, like I would have preferred Alvin Kamara over Derrick Henry, but yeah, I mean, like I said, you can't really go wrong. I just think Najee was so I had him last year, and he was like pretty solid, but he was so inefficient. And outside of that 14 catch game or whatever it was, he didn't have as many receptions as people think. Like he still had like probably 3 a game, 4 a game, but you had that one outlier game, and if you take that away, it's a lot less impressive.
yeah, so this was as expected, really, the top 8, and then
More or less,
Billy,
yeah.
yeah, Billy goes Najee here, but instead of him,
I think you have to go the other way to scroll this
oh
way.
yeah, but instead of Najee, who should Billy have gone with here? Because
I would have gone Alvin personally,
okay,
without a second guess, personally. But look, again, it's preference. It could work out really well. We all don't know, right? Like this is all guessing. It's just educated guessing.
it really is. So Brick got the back to back, and I thought he was going to go Devontae and Debo. I thought that would have been a great combo, but he goes Stephon Diggs, which isn't a bad pick. Diggs could have a really big year. He's always very reliable, and
Yep.
Brick's always been very big on Joe Mixon. I've never been too high on him. I think he had a pretty good year last year. I mean, if we look
He had
at
a great year last year. He
Yeah.
screwed me 2 years ago, so I was turned off.
I'm trying to look for the stats from last year.
It doesn't look the same as it does in the app.
It's unfigured, but
It's a little
whatever.
different.
But
He played really well though. He was very good.
We'll have to see if he can put up RB1 material, and then Billy on the way back. Honestly, if he went with Najee and Kamara, that would have been a filthy duo. But he decided to go with Debo, which isn't a bad pick at all because he's kind of a running back in its own.
Yeah. Debo's great. Again, for me, I would have taken Devontae. I think.
Yeah,
and I think Debo has very high upside.
I think after the first 5 rounds, we can just go team by team because this will take a while. But when we look at Russo's team, he definitely, without a doubt, has the best wide receiver core, and he obviously went from the angle of stacking his receivers, and his running backs aren't too strong. But
I don't think anyone's in our league has ever done that purposefully. So it'll be really interesting to see if it actually works. Yeah. The 0 running back strategy, and this might be the year to do it. So we'll see.
Yeah, it could be. And then this was honestly, aside from Sam taking Dalvin, this was the next biggest surprise to me was not only Kamara falling this far.
I got sniped.
Yeah, but Henry, who took Cooper Kupp, I guess he just needed a running back at that point, which is what I did last year was wide receiver running back. I could have swore he was going to take Alvin. And if he did take him, I probably wasn't taking DeAndre Swift. I was probably taking one of these 3 players. So when Henry took DeAndre Swift, which goes with his horrible team name, I thought that was very surprising because people are you can give me your input on this. People are very high on DeAndre Swift, and I think he is a good fantasy player, but he's just on such a bad team, and I just fantasy-wise don't trust players who are on bad teams.
So in my eyes, I mean, I think we can't say enough how horrible of a name Henry decided to pick. Pikachu used Swift. That is ugly. Horrible.
Is that one of his moves? Because all I know is his Thunderbolt move.
That's a good question. I feel like he might not even be able to do it, which would make it even worse. It's already horrible, but not factual and accurate. I can't stand for that.
Well,
Anyway,
we all know Henry's a loser, but that's besides the point.
yeah, that is besides the point. Again, like I obviously I told you, like for me, I had Alvin ranked like in my head like top 7, 8. So like I
Because you and
it
I,
was no brainer for me.
yeah,
I would
you
have
and I
taken Alvin.
saw like throughout the weeks that he went from like 36th to number 9, which is a big
Yes,
rise.
but it makes sense because look, the more news and stuff that comes out about how the court date is moved back, and she heard Schefter probably say that it's probably going to get pushed to 2023. The more confidence you have, it's probably going to get pushed to 2023. So for this year specifically, I think, and Alvin Kamara finished as RB9 last year and only played 13 games. I thought he was easily the pick. For you, I mean, it sucked for me. In my head, I wanted Alvin Kamara and then DeAndre Swift / Saquon. For me, DeAndre Swift, the case you make for him is before he got injured, he was like RB8, and he's an amazing pass catching weapon. But you look at it like this though, the Lions will be better, right? Who knows how good they'll actually be, but they'll be better.
Have you
They have a
watched any
very
of
good
Hard
line.
Knocks?
Oh yeah, Hard Knocks has been great.
Okay,
Dan
I feel
Campbell is a content machine.
like him and Jamal Williams.
Oh yeah, Jamal Williams. Do you see? Side note: do you see Jamal Williams lose 3 reps straight and then yell as if he won, and then that tweet went out viral?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, I'll have to find that. Anyway, I really like DeAndre Swift, but I also think he got so much receiving work, maybe partially because they're so bad. They were so bad, and they had to pass so often, and the pass catching threats like Hawkinson, Monra didn't come on until late in the year. Like if they both take a step forward, I mean, maybe there's less to go around.
Yeah.
With that said, I was praying that Alvin would fall to me, but unfortunately, you sniped me. This is the first time of I think 4 times that you sniped me. Um, this was the controversial pick with Saquon.
Yeah, walk me through your thought process here rather than going with a safer pick like Kelsey or stacking your wide receivers and taking someone like CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill maybe. I thought you were going to go Aaron Jones again potentially, but
Yeah,
like you
so
said,
did Rick and Henry.
Saquon's he's just too big of a name not to take. But at the same time, he's just with the past 2 seasons and his injury history, similar to McCaffrey in a way. It's just a very risky pick.
Yeah, and look, it's pretty much the ultimate high upside, high risk reward, right? It's really, if you think about it, not much different of a pick than Christian McCaffrey in that Saquon's ceiling is around Christian McCaffrey, but he could bottom out also with injury concerns. It's just 1 round later. In my eyes, I look at the situation. So the Giants in a vacuum have gotten better they have better play callers, they have a better O-line, they have a better blocking tight end in Daniel Bellinger, so they have extra help. And Saquon, this is really the big thing for me. Based off of everything that I've read, and I'm sure you can imagine, I have read a disgusting amount of this. 1 year removed from an ACL tear is when you want these players. Dalvin Cook was unbelievable 1 year removed from his ACL. That's when he was unreal. I think if there is a year that Saquon's good, and if he doesn't play well this year, he will not be drafted high like this ever again, probably.
He might even be traded off the Giants potentially.
He could be. He's on his 5th year, so they might trade him. They might just let him play out his last year. I believe in Saquon, and I think that all of the things that everyone has said about him has got to him, and he is going to show everyone what he's capable of. And I also think that he's a ridiculously talented pass catcher, and that is why I chose him. And you can argue the situation's not great. That's totally fair. Quarterback play is not great. That's totally fair. To say he's not an elite talent is just ignorant. He is literally probably the most highly touted running back ever.
Oh, he's a generational type player. It's just
the health.
It's the health and not being on such a great offensive team.
Right. But I think with an improved O-line, and they really have actually looked pretty decent in the preseason, even though we've gotten already hurt with some depth. For me, I wanted an RB1. I had already gone over literally this exact same scenario many times that Saquon would be here. One of DeAndre Swift, Kamara, or Saquon would be here. So I was very comfortable taking Saquon.
Yeah, because if you didn't, and say you did go, I mean, you like you said, you were definitely going running back no matter what. But
no, yeah, he wouldn't have lasted.
If you did decide to take the Russo route and got CD and stacked your receivers, that means come round 3, you would have had to take Chubb.
Yeah, and I would have hated that. I would never want Chubb to be my RB1 in a PPR league.
Yeah.
So I like CD a lot, but I don't necessarily think that he's as locked in as everyone thinks.
Yeah. I mean, these picks are even like questionable to me because if you just look at all of them, other than the top 2, Devontae, I think will have a great year just because he's Devontae Adams, but
he's Devontae Adams.
He is on a new team. DeAndre Swift's not on such a great team and has injury concerns.
Yep.
Kamara is not on a great team, and he has his off-field issues that are pending potentially this season. Saquon has injury issues.
Yep.
Kelsey's a beast, but is kind of in that wide receiver 1 role because he's their best target right now.
Mm-hmm. And he's older.
He is older, but he's still got Mahomes, so he'll probably be just fine.
Yep.
CD, as good as he is, he's in his 3rd year, and he's taking on more of a role now with Mari Cooper away, Michael Gallup injured, so he's really their only option other than Dalton Schultz. So that'll be interesting to see if he's able to live up to expectations. Mark Andrews really took a big rise over the years. He had a great year last year. He's Lamar Jackson's number 1 receiver, which will be interesting to see how he handles that. And then even Fournette, who had a great year last year, I just don't know if he's going to be able to replicate that this year. I was never really high on him, but, I could be wrong.
The O-line's decimated now. Another torn ACL to another starting guard.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens with that. We could go through one more round and then just go team by team here.
Okay.
So this came back to sacks, and he obviously goes McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, and then obviously probably the best wide receiver left right now would be Tyreek Hill, which even that's a risky pick with I don't know how there's so much talk about Tua being the most accurate quarterback in the league. Yeah, saying it's one thing, but putting it into existence is another. So
yeah,
I think the Dolphins are a team that could be sneaky good, or they're just going to be terrible like they usually have been in years past.
Yeah, this is the year that's so make or break for Tua. They brought in some offensive line pieces. They brought in Chase Edmonds, Mostert, Sony Michel. The thing that's kind of interesting, which I don't think will work, is Gesicki as an inline blocker. He's just a big receiver, so it'll be kind of weird to see him in an inline blocker role. That's why I think he was a horrible pick for, I think, Brick. Gesicki should not be a starting tight end right now for fantasy. He's not going to be used like that. I don't think. Okay. I love Javonte Williams. He could break out so massively. Like we talked about, I kind of think he's like a Jonathan Taylor of last year, where everyone thinks there's much bigger or a running back by committee than there is.
Yeah.
New offensive mind coming from Nathaniel Hackett. I think if Javonte can take a big step, he was already playing a little bit more than Melvin Gordon last year. We might be in for a pretty big surprise, and that might be a really, really good pick.
Yeah, and fantasy is all about taking risks, but these three guys I knew I was avoiding just because he could
The
take a
running
big
back.
jump. Yeah, because I went Derrick Henry and Kamara, and I knew I wasn't going to take a third running back because I was going to be very weak at the wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think the Broncos on paper look like they could be very filthy this year with Russell
Yep.
Wilson, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon's who's still got a little bit in the tank,
Yep.
Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy.
Mm-hmm.
They
Alberto.
could, yeah, Alberto. They could be sneaky good. Um,
They
but
could.
and it is a thing about taking risks. But I just don't know if he was a risk with a third round pick. I would have been willing to take Aaron Jones as good as he is. I don't know how good you thought he was for your team last year, but with the role that AJ
Mhm.
Dillon has, and just with me not being very high on the Packers this year, I don't know how trustworthy of a pick Aaron Jones is. And then James Conner, I just can't believe he's that high up. I know he had a good year last year. I just thought that was such a stupid pick by Sam.
Yeah, I think I'll go really quickly over both. Aaron Jones last year was pretty frustrating to have. He gets very valuable very valuable touches within because he gets a lot of targets. Um, he and AJ Dillon, I think, will be used a shit ton in this offense. Aaron Rodgers said it. He's going to put out their most talented 11. Aaron Rodgers only uses pieces he trusts, and they both probably will catch 50 plus balls. I would not be surprised. Will he pay off a third round ADP? I don't know. I was not going to ever touch him. Maybe in the third round, I really would have considered, but otherwise, I wasn't touching him. James Conner, James Conner a few years ago, I had him. I took him one pick in front of Dalvin the year Dalvin broke out. James Conner was brought to the Cardinals virtually for nothing.
Yeah.
He played really well, man. And they brought James Conner back on a 3-year deal, and they let Chase Edmonds walk. I don't think that anyone behind him is good. Darrell Williams is fine. They have Benjamin, who's not good.
Edgerrin James.
Edwin James, Theo Riddick. I don't necessarily think he's amazing, but the Cardinals' offense will probably be really good, and I think he'll get a lot of touches.
Yeah, I mean, listen, cancer survivor. I was always a big fan of his when he was in Pittsburgh.
Totally.
Taking over after all that Le'Veon bullshit.
Yep.
And he had some big games last year. I remember I had him and I dropped him. But I don't know. I just think a third round pick on him is just you have so much better for him.
Yeah, I think there was better picks out there. All right, so let's just talk about ours and then quickly the ones after us.
Yeah. What made you go Pittman here?
What? Why did I go Pittman?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people probably would be confused on this. So honestly, I was looking at this. I did so many mocks, not necessarily from 5, but I knew pretty much in the range of 3 to 6 if I got any of those picks that I would start very similar to this. And I was taking Pittman a lot in the 4th, but his ADP shot up right before our draft. And I knew if I waited until the 4th, I would not get him. I really like AJ Brown at this point. I really liked T. Higgins at this point, actually, and Mike Evans. For me,
I thought you were going to take Keenan here.
Everyone thinks I was going to take all the players I took last year. I wasn't even eyeing Keenan Allen. He has gotten worse every year statistically. So I like Keenan. I think he'll still be a solid wide receiver, but just not for what I was looking for. He's really stable, but he has no upside. So that was my team sucked last year, and I thought it was good because he was so stable. Michael Pittman for me, not Alvin. AJ Brown was the perfect pick for the highest upside you could get, but he could have a low floor because the Eagles' offense, who knows what that looks like with Devontae Smith, Goddard. They actually have options this year, and Jalen Hurts is unproven as a thrower.
Very true.
Michael Pittman is the unquestioned one, and an offense that's ascending with Matt Ryan, who I do believe can elevate this offense more than Carson Wentz did, and he was still pretty good last year. He broke out last year. Sam had him. I talked myself into it of being very in on him. I really like Michael Pittman this year, and I knew I wasn't going to get him, but I can't fault you for AJ Brown. That would have been my next pick.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do that just to screw me over, which I would have totally understood. But if that was the case, I would have probably taken Michael Pittman too, because his like you said, his ADP just kind of skyrocketed. People were very high on him, and what he was able to do last year with Carson Wentz, he just looked like he took over the field. Just the routes he's running, he's a big target. Not too many other options on the Colts. It's really him and JT. So I think that was a great pick to take. I was definitely considering him too. And then when it came to me, I remember I looked you into your soul and said, Jay, who am I taking here?
I took one look and I knew exactly.
And I like Chubb a lot, but I knew I couldn't take him because then my wide receivers would have been an atrocity. I was definitely considering Mike Evans here because he's just kind of like a guaranteed 1,000-yard receiver every year.
Yeah.
But he always has like lingering injuries. He's fighting through a hamstring injury right now.
Exactly.
He had a great year last year, but it'll be interesting to see how he does. Just with, like you said, the Bucs O line's falling apart. Brady finally returned to training camp, but we'll have to see if he's able to bounce back. Godwin will be out to start the season. Like you said, Russell Gage, and Julio. Don't know how much of a factor they're going to have, but they're still going to play a big role in the team. So I don't know how reliable of a pick Mike Evans would have been, but it's not a bad pick at all.
No, he could explode. I was considering him too, but I just could for me, this is exactly why I knew in this round specifically, unless Javonte was there, I really would have considered Javonte. I was gonna go receivers like Nick Chubb in a PPR, I just don't trust it. Cam Akers is a very high injury risk with the Achilles, and he was really inefficient, although he is going to be one of the starters. I think he and Darrell Henderson could split carries. So that one, I just think it was a little questionable. It could pay off so well, but I am not going to be the one to risk that after I already risked Saquon. That was my thinking.
Very true. Going into the draft, I told myself if Derrick Henry's there, I'm taking him. If Kamara's there in the second round, I'm taking him. And if AJ Brown's there in the fourth, I'm taking him. So my first two little notes I did were on point. But then I knew if I took like Mike Evans here, there's no way AJ Brown was going to fall to me here. So yeah, let's just go through our teams. We can go team by team. We can start with you.
Let me see if I just have this. All right, ready for this? This is funny. I even wrote in my notes, just in my head. Targets by round. Number 1, figure it out. 2, figure it out. 3, Saquon or Pittman. And then I'll explain my fourth pick, which in no way was I thinking I would take Kyle Pitts. Yeah. I always, Shu knows this, the people in the league probably know this. I do not take tight ends early. I don't take QBs early, ever. But for the first year, I didn't even think he would be there. But Josh Allen started slipping. And he's slipping. Fourth pick comes around. And
because that would have been a stacked team right there to have Josh Allen, Saquon, JJ, and Pittman.
My team would have been nuts. But, you sniped me there too. And I was like, fuck. Because
I had the same mindset as you, though. Like, if I didn't take Josh Allen, I had my eyes all over Jalen Hurts in the 7th or 8th round.
Yeah, so that was the thing. Again, usually I don't look that way. I was actually probably gonna look Trey Lance very late.
Trey way.
And once you took once you took him, Josh Allen, and I called it. I knew you were gonna take the first quarterback, and knew that Josh Allen would go to you. I just thought there was a shot I would get him. Once that happened, I needed to quickly figure out what the hell I was doing, and I didn't really like that any receivers there too much. Like I wasn't eyeing any of them, thinking like this is really great for me. But I was like, look, Kyle Pitts, had a historic rookie season. Marcus Mariota supported Delaney Walker, and then I don't have to worry about tight end ever again.
Yeah. Let's just look at the round by round, so then we can just kind of see like who else is available.
Yeah.
So you I
would
went
have also taken T. Higgins. If Henry didn't take T. Higgins, I would have taken him.
Okay.
Without questioning it. I really like DJ Moore, and he didn't obviously even get close to me. I would have maybe considered Terry, but
were you completely out on Zeke?
Yes.
Because I don't think that might have been like very hit or miss, but it wouldn't have been a bad duo to take Saquon and Zeke for your running backs.
I'll tell you exactly what I was thinking.
Tell me.
I will. 4th round, I knew after I took my first running back, I was going to take Breece Hall or I was going to take ETN. I took a look at everyone behind me. They all had 2 running backs already. So I made a little bit of a risky move, and instead of taking that running back where I was thinking I would 4th, I took Kyle Pitts and then waited. And then ETN was there anyway in the 5th. And so was Breece Hall, who then Breece Hall didn't get picked till 7:01.
Yeah.
No, but I was always going to do that. I would never take Zeke this year. Not that I think Zeke will have a bad year. Just from my strategy, it doesn't make sense. So, yes, he would have been a very stable asset, but I believe in myself for like the picks that I was going to have late in the draft that I'd be able to find someone. Worst case. So that's why I did that.
Okay. So,
and yeah, what was your mindset?
Well, we'll go through your team.
Okay.
I think Pitts is, it's an interesting pick. It definitely caught me by surprise when you took him. I don't know who else you would have taken, but
I didn't
tight
like
ends
anyone else there.
Tight ends. There's like 5 good tight ends, so they go quickly, and he really is is going to be Marcus Mariota's main target. Mariota had a really great connection with Delaney Walker in Tennessee.
Yep.
So he might have a similar thing with Pitts, just being a big target. He didn't really live up to expectations last year, but he could take a big step forward, especially because in that offense, other than Drake London, who's working through an injury, they don't really have too many options.
Yeah.
So
Kyle Pitts is basically a receiver. He ran a 4.4, and he had over 1,000 yards last year, which is the best tight end season ever, despite only having 1 touchdown. So if that comes up at all, I think it'll pay off for where it is. And like tight end's just such a scarce position. Like I don't want to be the person who, last year I was like sifting through like 4 of them trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that again. So yeah, then came this pick, which again for me was really easy. I was thinking about potentially waiting 1 more round, and taking Amon-Ra, but I was just like, whatever. Like I need a running back. Henry loves ETN. Might as well just take him.
Yeah, if he was there, I probably would have taken him too. If you passed on him, I probably would have taken him.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, the Jaguars can really only go up from where they were with Urban Meyer, and James Robinson's coming off a torn Achilles too. And although it's reported he'll be back for week 1, I don't really believe he's going to be fully integrated into the offense. And ETN's going to get the passing work, you would assume. So
yeah,
that's where that mindset was. And then you snipe me again on the 6th round. This was easily the hardest pick I made in the entire draft. I took until about 5 seconds before, and I had Sam on my left side of my ear just saying, "Would you take someone already?" I was just like, dude, can you chill? Like, I'm just trying to do this.
That was
My
also
eyes were on, in this round, Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, and all three went right before me.
yeah.
And then I couldn't decide between if I wanted to go Lamar or if I wanted to go Cortland Sutton or Allen Robinson, because I really believe Allen Robinson will have a very good year.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. If Cortland Sutton hits, he's going to hit. And he, like Saquon, 1 year removed from injury, Russell Wilson enters the picture, and apparently Cortland's his favorite target, and he's going to get the moon balls, and he'll get the red zone looks.
Yeah, could be a snipe.
The more I thought about it, and the more I've like read around, I think that could potentially be a very good pick. Although I would have taken Michael Thomas, and you definitely got me there. So that was round 6. 7. Okay, so this is where like I knew if I didn't take Jalen Hurts here, I wasn't gonna get him. And every single mock anything, I knew I was probably gonna wait until quarterback till round 8. As this played out, I didn't want to wait. Last time I waited, it didn't work out. I think Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts in my head was the 4th best quarterback. I would have taken him over Kyler. I would have taken him over Lamar. I think he could break out if he plays well. It's going to be horrible rooting for the Eagles ever, but
Thanks.
You're welcome. But at least if they play decently, look, Jalen Hurts is like honestly the best runner you guys have. Like,
Yeah.
So, and he played so well last year running. And if
he had so many QB sneaks at the 1 yard line, and it's just like an easy 6 fantasy points there.
Exactly.
And he has another big target in AJ Brown, so he just does he has no reason not to play well.
Exactly, and it's not. Look, it's not going to be like what Josh Allen was. That's like the outlier of all outliers after getting Diggs. But look, like I told you this on the show, I'm so in on the best friend thing. I think that AJ Brown is going to be a stud, but I also think Jalen Hurts will take a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he doesn't, he's still going to run it a shit ton. So I was very happy that I was able to get that pick. This is very different from how I usually draft with like waiting on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Of course, then Dak, Russell Wilson, they all go. So like I made the right choice. Hurts would have gone for sure.
Oh yeah.
My next pick, you thankfully did not snipe me. We'll talk about yours after, but
yeah.
Elijah Moore was the quickest pick I could have made. I think he's so good. I think he's the one, even on a bad team. I really like Elijah Moore's talent. He was incredible toward the end of last year, even with all their different quarterbacks. So whether it's Flacco or Zach Wilson, your mom's best friend, I like that for a flex for potential huge upside.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss not having my accountant Hunter Renfrow, but it had to be. It had to be.
Yeah.
This pick. Oh,
I want AJ Dillon. Go backup running back over Damian Harris.
Because I think AJ Dillon has the biggest upside of anyone here. In every single mock draft and every single, like every site, even AJ Dillon is like a projected 6th round pick.
You know what? You got some balls taking Clyde in the 1st round a couple years ago, and then passing on him in the 9th. No loyalty, no respect.
I wanted you to have him.
Thank you.
He was so bad for me. I guess you could look at like Clyde's one of those guys who just turned me off completely the last 2 years. I think he's still the one, but like I don't want any part of it. AJ Dillon, here's the thing. I feel like after you get your starters, you want guys who are just going to fill out your team with like tons of upside. If Aaron Jones, anything happens to him, AJ Dillon's the RB1.
Yeah.
In general, I think AJ Dillon will still be an RB2. Like I think he's playable as an RB2. So I was very happy to get AJ Dillon here. I call him Fatty McGee. Damian Harris, I don't trust. Like, I think that's like he's a good RB2, but Ramondre is knocking on his door, and the Patriots they don't sign running backs, so they're this is the last year Damian Harris will be there. So I think it like leaves it open for Ramondre to get more work. But anyway, yeah. So like there was never even consideration for me. The next pick, I took young Joka Kadarius Toney. He never really want too much stake in a bad offense, probably, but if he's healthy.
Oh, never mind. I was gonna say,
you
still don't have a tight end to take Dawson Knox, but you have Kyle Pitts.
Exactly. This is exactly why I didn't want to be in that scenario. If I didn't take Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller wasn't available to me, I would have just waited till last round taking Cole Kmet. But Kadarius Toney, I like Kadarius Toney a lot. I think he's so talented. He's just always injured.
Yeah.
He just lasted like 2 rounds after ADP, and I was just like, shit, like I have to take him here. Like I need another receiver rather. And he's there. He has a lot of talent. I don't know if he'll play well this year, but I think Kenny Golladay is not made for the system that they want to run.
Yeah.
It could totally flame out, but if it does, I'm okay with that. Like again, like I had to take him here. So I'm good with that. Like I said, like I'm good with every pick I made. This was the only questionable one on this one. I'll tell you why. So this one, I was eyeing Chase Edmonds. I couldn't believe he lasted this long.
Yeah.
Ryan took him, and I was like, shit. When Sam took Kenny Golladay, I was like, what are you doing? I took Ramondre again just because he has so much upside. He averaged like 6 a carry last year.
Yeah, I remember I had him last year. I picked him up off waivers when Damian Harris was hurt, and he
was great.
He was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. He's a really good pass catcher. The right pick here would have probably been Treylon Burks.
Yeah, I agree.
I should have probably, especially with how I ended up taking another running back, I should have taken Treylon Burks. I should have shored up more of my receivers than running backs. I wish I took Treylon Burks. It is what it is. Like I think Ramondre still could be really good. In round 12, I am dubbing this the steal of the draft. Dameon Pierce is a starter.
Out of Florida.
Now with the Texans. He didn't play after the first preseason game because they liked him so much. I wasn't even thinking that I'd get him in this round. When he was there, it was like the easiest pick for me. If he wasn't there, I probably would have taken Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
Because I think Tyler Boyd, like, again, we'll go over yours in a second. Tyler Boyd was such a good pick because he's like the ultimate like wide receiver handcuff. If Jamar Chase or T. Higgins get hurt,
yeah,
he will average 17 a game again. He's just very talented. But yeah, so I took Dameon Pierce. We'll see how he pans out, but he's a really, really, really talented runner. So we'll see. And just for redraft purposes, I think it was a good pick. Jahan Dotson, this was just you just kind of got to shoot for upside. He'll start alongside Terry, and you got to put some stock into the fact that he was like the 3rd receiver taken or 4th receiver taken, or maybe 5th. So he's going to start. Whether he's great or not, that's remains to be seen. But I think that was a good upside pick. I didn't think Julio would have been taken. I was going to look at Julio the next round. 14th, they just took Nico Collins, 2nd-year receiver out of Michigan. Again, upside. Hopefully he takes a step forward. He might not. I was also eyeing George Pickens, but I wonder if the hype train is too high on him.
Yeah.
Then I took the Ravens defense. I always leave defense kicker last 2. The Ravens open up against the Jets, so that'll be good. And then Matt Prater. Yeah. Again, like kicker doesn't matter. Like no one took Daniel Carlson last year, and he was number 1 kicker. Like It doesn't matter. That's why when people put too much stock into those things, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, it doesn't actually matter. I took Jason Sanders. You remember him?
Yeah,
Dolphins.
the Dolphins.
Yeah, he was unbelievable 2 years ago. Last year, he sucked. It just happens. Like, it doesn't matter who you take, except for Tucker. Justin Tucker is the best thing you can possibly do for your football team.
Oh yeah,
I love Tuck's. All right, let's go over your team.
Yeah, so like we talked about before, I knew I wanted to go running back.
Yep.
If for some reason all these running backs were gone, I obviously would have taken one of these receivers and just kind of worked with what I got through there. But these are just two no-brainers for me.
I totally agree.
Injury history, Alvin and the Chipmunks. He's a punk. He's got a lot of battery cases he's gonna have to work through. But
oh my gosh,
as long as he plays this year, it's a pretty filthy duo for our running backs. Knew I was taking AJ Brown here because I needed a wide receiver. I was debating between him, Keenan Allen, and Mike Evans. Like I said, even DJ Moore was in there.
You liar! You said you were going to get Michael Pittman. Oh wait, you're saying after I took
him. Yeah. Oh. As good as Scary Terry is, I just don't trust him with Carson Wentz. So AJ Brown is the obvious pick for me here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to Mr. Allen, obviously my history of taking Patrick Mahomes in the third round, I could have taken Mahomes again, but I needed a year off from him. We just needed some time apart. We talked about it. So
you talked about it.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He agreed. He's with his ugly wife.
Oh, nice.
But I looked at Pitts, but then I saw that these two were here, and that I could wait to get another tight end.
Totally. That's what I would love to.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to pass on Pitts. I considered Zeke, but I didn't want to have three running backs. I really thought I was going to take a wide receiver here. So I was considering Deontay Johnson or DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, as good as he is, just has such a tough quarterback situation. Same thing with Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
And I just feel like Josh Allen's a guaranteed 20 points a week. So I just think it was smart. Even if it was a little bit early, it was the smart pick here.
Yep.
So through my first four picks, I'm very happy with that. Wanted ETN here to get a good flex option. You snagged him from me. So I was going either Waller or Kittle here. I was looking at Godwin too because I liked him a lot last year, but with it coming off of his ACL injury, and Waller's coming off an injury too. Kittle wasn't as good as he's been in years past. So I just think in that offense with Devontae Adams, and as good as Darren Waller is, he has such a high upside as long as he can stay healthy. I feel like that was just kind of a no-brainer right there.
I agree. I also, I'll tell you, in every mock draft I did, I took Waller in the 6th. So I was thinking the same thing.
And then Michael Thomas. Took a chance on him last year. Took a chance. Didn't pay off.
On me.
They were saying he was looking really good in training camp, coming off his ankle injury. Yeah. Obviously, he got like that hamstring issue recently, which is going to have to be monitored. And it's a tough pick here, but
if he's out week 1, I think that's for the best. He should just rest up.
Yeah, and if I passed on him, you would have he would not been there in the 7th round for me.
I was going to take him the next pick.
Which means I would have either I do like Amari Cooper a lot. I think he's so talented. Just on what's probably going to be a not so great Browns team with Jacoby Brissett. If Deshaun Watson was playing, I would have 100% taken Amari Cooper here. And I think, like you said, Allen Robinson's going to have a lot of upside.
So let me ask you a question, and quickly. So for those who don't know, Deshaun Watson, he and the NFL came to an agreement. He's going to be out 12. It's technically 11 games, but it's going to be 12 weeks. He comes back week 13 because of the bye against, of course, the Texans. Yeah, as if that's not obviously planned. Good job, NFL. How do you make out guys like Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt? I guess to a much lesser extent, like a David Njoku or maybe even Nick Chubb. When Deshaun comes back, knowing that probably the offense will take a gigantic step forward. Maybe not the first week, but definitely the week after that, after Deshaun's played a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, considering he's coming back against the Texans, he's probably going to eat.
Probably.
Especially because it's his old team and the Texans are just terrible. But they'll definitely take a step forward. Jacoby Brissett's decent. I'm not trying to like bag on him, put it like say not that good because he is a decent quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna be interesting to see like in a new system, a new team, what Amari Cooper is able to do. They don't really have anyone else. Donovan Peoples-Jones.
David Bell.
So it's really just giving Chubb 20 carries a game. Obviously, he's a filthy duo with Kareem Hunt, but that's just an interesting scenario to see how that's going to play out because he doesn't want to play for them. He requested a trade that they declined, but I don't know. I've never understood like why, no matter how good a player is, why would you want him on your team if he doesn't want to play for you? It's just like what's his outlook going to be on this season? Is he like going to put in half-ass effort? Is he going to sit games out? What's the situation looking like for Kareem Hunt, who has a lot of upside? There's been rumors about him wanting to potentially be traded to the Eagles, which obviously I'd love because he's so talented. I just don't think the Browns are going to be anything special this year. They might dig themselves a very early hole through 11 games, and it might be too late by the time Deshaun Watson comes in. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But in terms of fantasy relevance, I just don't think like anyone other than maybe Chubb. I don't think any of their players are reliable.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Allen Robinson might have been a good pick here too, but I just, with what Michael Thomas was before his injuries, and obviously that Drew Brees is very different from Jameis Winston, but a lot of people really like Jameis Winston, so just have to see what he's able to do once he steps onto that field.
See how good Slant Boy is.
Yeah, can't guard Mike. You went Jalen
about this one.
Yeah, you went Hurts here, and I was wondering if I could have waited to the 8th round to take Hopkins because I knew I wanted him in the 7th or 8th round. I was really think there might have been a chance I could have waited on him and got him in the 8th round.
I think you could have.
I think I could have too, but Henry went Marquise Brown here, and based off of like the next 10 guys, he was there, which means somebody was probably going to take him, and I just don't want to risk it. Tough having to go 6 games without him. I could have used if I didn't take him, I probably would have taken Thielen here.
Yeah,
or Rashad Bateman.
I wanted him so bad, Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I was definitely going to take one of them too. But I just think Hopkins, when he comes back, if he is able to be who he is, who he has been, come week 7, could be really big for me. Which is what I was looking at last year with Thomas, but that was a different scenario because he was injured. Where Hopkins isn't injured, so hopefully that'll be big time for me.
I just wonder. Yes, Hopkins was hurt last year, but do you worry at all that his age is catching up to him finally? I still think he's still a very good receiver, but they brought in Hollywood Brown for a reason. I feel like
his age is definitely catching up to him. He's definitely not that late 1st, early 2nd round pick he's always been. Definitely next year, probably someone I'd probably veer away from.
Yeah,
but it's just funny. He's not comparing him to Julio or OBJ, but he is in that class of guys who were RB1s and now they're just kind of RB3 flex guys because they're getting older. But he's got Kyler Murray, and if Marquise Brown lives up to the hype, I think it could be big time for Hopkins. So
we'll
just have to wait and see.
I could see it.
And then I didn't really know what I was doing here on this 8th pick. I don't like having 2 receivers on the same team on my roster. I never really liked having that.
Do you have DK?
Say it again.
Do you have DK?
No. I have AJ Brown, so I was considering Devonta Smith here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have left that part out, but
it's what?
I was definitely considering Devonta Smith here, but I don't like having 2 receivers on the same team on my team, so I passed on him. I have Waller too, so I passed on Renfro. And I don't know, Elijah Moore is very talented. He was great last year. This is his 2nd year, right?
Yep.
I think he has tremendous upside. I just don't like the Jets. I told myself before the draft started that I'm not taking any Jet players. Even if Brees Hall was like there, I probably wasn't going to touch him.
I can't believe where he fell to.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing because even if he was available right here, I still would have passed on him and taken Hopkins.
Dude, I considered him in the 4th round. Like that's what's nuts to me.
Yeah, and he'll probably be a very good flex play. Um, but Lockett's definitely getting older. Their quarterback situation's atrocious, but I just had to kind of I really don't know who else I would have considered here. Like maybe
Maybe
Ayuk
you. Yeah.
or Kareem Hunt might have been a better pick, but I'm just gotta hope that he still has a lot of talent. He had a decent year last year. You had him. Obviously, he doesn't have Russell Wilson anymore, but as long as Geno Smith can throw a decent spiral, hopefully it'll pan out for me. And then here, it's just kind of garbage time. I don't really know why I took Clyde. I was definitely considering Bobby Trees here.
Really? You're okay. How
Yeah.
come?
I was just kind of stacking up. I know I needed more depth at the receiver position,
Sure.
but I knew I needed a running back because all I have is 2 running backs so far. So I needed some depth. So that's why I picked Clyde. I think just in the Chiefs offense, like I thought there was more upside with him than Damian Harris on the Pats, who I don't think are going to be as good as they were last year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I just thought like I had to take him there. And then
You ever consider Cordarrelle?
Yeah, I definitely did consider him. But I think I looked at his numbers like before the pick, and his numbers just weren't anything special to me. Like, yeah, he broke out last year and surprised a lot of people, but that's also because he was splitting time with Mike Davis, who stinks, and they didn't really have any other options on their team. Like the Falcons were terrible, so he played really well, and maybe he'll have a good year again. Maybe not. We'll have to see. I just didn't have as much confidence in that pick, so I took Clyde. And then here, I was definitely considering Kadarius Toney too. I like him a lot. I was also considering Chase Edmonds, but I needed more depth at my receiver position, and as much upside as Kadarius Toney has, he has some off-field issues in his injury history, and
totally.
As much as I dislike the Giants, I just don't know how good Daniel Jones will be this year. Like, and I didn't want to have to suffer through another Giants player after what
Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, after what he did to me last year. So
yeah, he smacked you.
Kadarius is very, very good, and it would not have been a bad pick at all here.
No.
But and I don't know how good Alan Lazard is, but I'm kind of just praying that him and Rodgers have a great connection, and he has a decent year.
I think he could be a solid wide receiver 3, maybe higher, depending on who he likes. It's all on like what Rodgers likes.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Come the 11th round. Funny how I was looking at James Robinson. It's funny how much he's kind of fell off because I remember you had him and he was really good.
Yeah.
And then last year he got hurt, and obviously now with Travis Etienne, who knows how much of a role he's really going to have in their offense? Because even last year, I remember the whole thing with I forget who their head coach, Urban Meyer. He wouldn't hand him the football.
Yeah,
he wouldn't give Robinson the football. So maybe that could be different this year. And I'm a big fan of Dougie P. Maybe Coach Peterson will give him more reps because when he was the Eagles coach, we were a run heavy team. So we also had LeGarrette Blount, so that was a very different scenario. But we'll have to see if James Robinson can have a big bounce back year. I was definitely considering Treylon Burks here, but I was reading a lot about Russell Gage and just how he was really able to spread the field in Atlanta. And just any receiver under Tom Brady could be very successful. With Godwin being out, losing Gronk, it could pan out as like a decent flex play to start the season off.
I was very high on Gage. Prior to them signing Julio and me thinking Godwin would be out longer, which I'm still very surprised that he's even been able to get back as quick as he has. That feels like crazy how he got back that quick.
Yeah.
Because he tore it in what, like week 14, 13?
Yeah, it was against the Saints.
Yeah, like that's really weird. That's like I don't know. Maybe medicine's
It's
just been
just
better.
medicine and technology. They
Yeah,
just crazy.
but I liked Russell Gage a lot more before. Like I feel like he was like an eighth round pick when I was first mocking.
Yeah.
So I still think he could be really good. I like that pick.
Yeah, and then here I really wanted. I was either going to take Fryermuth or Rashad Penny because I had both of them on my team last year. I
Mm-hmm.
think Fryermuth is a pretty good, second tier tight end just to have
Totally.
a backup for Waller. But I think Russo was listening to me talking to Ryan, and then he snagged him. And then Rashad Penny, Henry took. Penny could, he had a great ending to the year last year. He has a lot of potential, especially with Kenneth Walker being hurt. Obviously, the Seahawks just don't have a great offense without Russell Wilson, but he could still be a decent late round snag.
Yeah, he in the thing I have with Rashad Penny, he's a very very talented runner, right? They were so good towards the end of last year. He was so good towards the end of last year. But he's always hurt. The offensive line's not that good. And they are terrible, like as a team. Like they're gonna be down every game. And the second that happens, he's coming out for
Yeah,
DJ Dallas, Travis Homer. Like I don't know how much upside's really there.
yeah. I don't know either. But he had a good ending to the year last year, so
He did.
the talent's definitely there. And then, as you touched on earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I think Tyler Boyd is the obvious pick here. I was
Yep.
looking at James Cook. If he's going to be anything what his brother is,
Yeah.
especially in just such a great offense, he could be, a very decent back. It's just he's a rookie. Last year, I had Singletary and Zach Moss. Zach Moss is just out of the picture.
Yeah.
Singletary had a great ending to the year last year. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I trust him. So James Cook could be, very decent this year. And then, at this point, I just really didn't know who else there was to take. And I just was kind of surprised to see Tyler Boyd still there. I think he has a lot of talent. And like you said, if Higgins gets hurt or Jamar Chase gets hurt, he's a really good filler. And he'll still probably get, at least 6 targets a game, I'd say, even in that wide receiver 3 role.
He's averaged like 17 points when only one of them was in.
Yeah. So could use him as, just some cushion on the bench or maybe some trade bait. If you want to give me Justin Jefferson, we'll think about it.
Uh-huh.
And then
I'm so glad I can gritty alongside him.
You have to get his jersey now,
right? Just like my Dalvin jersey,
Yeah.
and then he changed his number.
And then really these last 4 picks are just kind of garbage picks. You got to get your defense and kicker. Wanted Evan McPherson, but Rosen snagged him. So it was either him or Butker. So I just picked the Rams because they're going to be putting up a lot of points this year. So he obviously could be a decent pick. And then Jamal Williams, I just think he's hilarious, and he is decent. Like he's not a good fantasy player, but
he's decent when he's the RB1.
Yeah. And DeAndre Swift will obviously be their guy, but just with what I was able to see on Hard Knocks, I thought he was just hilarious. So I'll probably drop him at some point, and then
it's honestly good to have one player you're not going to drop at some point.
Exactly. And then with me with defenses, I've always just kind of filtered them in and out. Like the Steelers are a great defense, obviously defensive player of the year, and TJ Watt.
Yeah.
But the next day I dropped them and picked up the Chargers because I just think the Chargers could be filthy with getting Khalil Mack and the big deal they just gave to their safety. Who's JC again?
JC Jackson.
JC Jackson, but did they just give a big deal to their other
Derwin James?
Derwin James. That's his thing. I was blanking on his name. They just have so much talent. So from fantasy perspective, it's just kind of hit or miss. Like even in week 1, I was looking at it like with some of the matchups. Like if you just look at like some of these teams, like the Eagles play the Lions in week 1, so you'd say like that's the Eagles could be a sneaky good defense this year, especially with they've definitely improved on the defensive side, but at the same time, the Lions could put up points on us. And in fantasy, if you're not getting pick sixes or fumbles or sacks, your defense really isn't going to put up much points. So, that doesn't really matter. The Steelers play the Bengals week 1, so the Bengals will probably put up a lot of points on them. The Chargers play the Raiders week 1, so defenses are always a tough call. You just kind of filter them in and out, I feel like. Unless you're someone like Sam who just hits and on the Patriots like he did that one year, and they were unbelievable.
They had like 20 points a game.
Yeah. And then with the last pick here, I just picked OBJ as a stash because if he does come back to the Rams, he could be decent because he had a good year last year. He's obviously getting older and battling through a lot of injuries, but
that's my issue. Is the ACL.
So,
but he knows how to recover. He's already gone through 2 of them.
Yeah. So let's just go through all the teams here, and you tell me who you think will win the league. We'll give our early predictions. You can obviously pick yourself. But if you were not to pick yourself, who else out of all these teams, we can go through them just real quickly looking at the rosters, if you think they have a good chance of winning it or not. So let's go with Sam. He's got – I'll go through his –
terrible.
Yeah, I'll go through his team. We were always talking about how he has the worst team. Just with
I think Billy had the worst draft. I'm sorry, Billy, if you're watching this, but I really think that your draft was the worst out of everyone.
I wish they'd show the roster. Oh, let's do it that way. Let's just go to their team.
Oh yeah. Just go to league.
We'll go team by team. So Sam's got Rodgers, who Rodgers a beast, but very different team this year without Devontae Adams. So who knows how good he'll be. Dalvin is a beast as long as he can stay healthy. James Conner, could have a good year again. And his wide receivers are just like very, very average.
Yeah,
Jalen Waddle, who has a lot of upside, but obviously he's not going to get as many targets with Tyreek Hill.
It's just bad that's his wide receiver 1.
Yeah. Allen Robinson, who shouldn't be a wide receiver 2 because he's just been atrocious over the past couple of years, could play a very big role in the Rams offense and could finally live up to his potential. Hot take, I think he scores a touchdown in the season opener.
I totally agree with you. I would take that bet.
Devontae Smith, I think, is a good wide receiver 3. Devonta Smith. Kelsey's obviously a beast. Not a big fan of Elijah Mitchell. We'll just have to see
catching.
Yeah. I'll have to see how that pans out.
And I think that Trey Lance is a better running back than he is.
Agreed. And then he's got Dobbins, who could have a big year coming off injury.
Yep.
Christian Kirk after that fat contract being
I think that was a great pick.
He could have a big year. Kenny, he's going to stink again, or he's going to turn it around to rub it in my face and have a big year.
Rub something in your face.
Yeah, rub something. Devontae Parker and Alexander Madison, call me crazy. His bench is better than his starting lineup.
Maybe his team is atrocious.
And Sam
on paper.
Yeah, and Sam won the league last year, so
who knows?
I don't see him winning it again, but you never know. We'll have to see.
On paper, his team is atrocious. Here's Russo's 0 running back strategy,
but his team just looks so stacked.
His receivers are so stacked, and Dalton Schultz was a great pick too.
Yeah, and Mahomes.
Josh Jacobs is the question mark of all question marks. I do think he'll still put up RB2 numbers, to be honest. And then I just hate Devin Singletary, but Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, and Terry, that is stacked. And he has Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, Cordell. These are the right picks for Russo. Taking Cordell Patterson is the right upside pick for a running back. James Robinson is the right upside pick for running back. Brian Robinson has been taking the first round of the first snaps.
Because Antonio Gibson's really plummeting. So these aren't bad guys here.
It's like the Eagles with Miles Sanders. They absolutely fucking hate him. Bro, Antonio Gibson can't stop fumbling. And Ron Rivera doesn't trust him. And Brian Robinson got some decent draft capital. So we'll see. Yeah.
So we'll have to see. Russo definitely has a chance if his wide receivers go off every single week.
And his team was ridiculous last year, we should mention. And the swimsuit model picked him to win. So before we drafted. So who knows?
Let's prove her wrong.
I think this is the worst draft.
Yeah, Billy had the worst draft by far. He got in the chip last year. He like snuck up in a decent team.
He
But,
shouldn't
like,
have beaten me in the playoffs. I like Tom Brady and Gronk fell apart like they always do against the Saints.
but
But
as bad
besides
as
the
his
point.
team, yeah, as bad as his team looks, like Kyler could have a great year.
Yeah.
Najee could have like a decent year. Cam
Mhm.
Akers is a very risky pick, but like a lot of
Good payoff.
upside as long as he can stay healthy on a very high scoring football team.
Yep.
Debo's gonna have a great year. I don't
Monroe's
really know
great.
I mean, I know you're big on him. I'm not really big on him. I know he had a great ending to the year last year at the Lions. I just don't know how high I am on him. He'll probably have a decent year. I just don't think he's wide receiver 2 material, in my opinion.
I think my issue with Billy's team is not so much some of the starting players, but it's the way he constructed it. So, like, for example, I I don't think Amon-Ra should be considered an a wide receiver 2. Like, I'd take him as a wide receiver 3. I would not have Claypool as my wide receiver 3. And then investing that much into the Lions offense is a risky bet. That's like I think that is a risky bet for
Because his third pick, I'm assuming, was Cam Akers, and he could have gotten a much better
yes.
player.
Yeah, and like especially considering he took David Montgomery, who I also think is going to take a step back.
Yeah.
Khalil Herbert's very talented, and the offensive line. Like I love Bateman. Thought that was
I
a
think
great pick.
Bateman's going to be great this year. I really do.
Joey makes no sense. That's just like this is what our league does. Takes 2 quarterbacks for no reason.
He could have gotten another bench player that could have helped him, but you never know.
It doesn't make any sense.
If Kyler like doesn't do too well without Hopkins and Joe Burrow just keeps, he put up some big games last year. It could be a decent stash.
I don't like MVS.
Yeah, these are terrible, all atrocious picks.
Yeah, I think his team is the worst. And I don't think it's close.
Michael Carter isn't he was pretty good last year, but obviously with Breece Hall,
they traded up for Breece though. They were going to take him in the first round if they could have gotten back in. I don't think that was a good pick.
Rosen's got a pretty good team.
Yeah, I like Rosen's team. Rosen kind of has a similar receiver problem.
Yeah, his receivers aren't too hot,
but everything else is like. I mean, Mark Andrews, he didn't even mean to do this, but Lamar and Mark Andrews stack is great. I think Gabe Davis is a huge pick for him.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Williams is a really good pick too. And then like I said, Javonte, if he breaks out, man, that's going to be a scary team to face.
Yeah. Drake London could be decent.
Ronald Jones was a terrible pick.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones is the 4th running back in that room right now and is probably going to get cut. That's an atrocious pick.
Yeah, Nyheim Hines is a bad pick unless JT gets hurt. So that was just kind of like a stash pick for him. Jarvis is always decent because he always had good big upside, but who knows?
Michael Thomas and Olave, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna have a decent year.
Zach Ertz is a good pick, but again, you don't need 2 tight ends, so it doesn't really make sense per se. But I like his starting lineup.
Yeah,
Ryan hates his team.
I mean,
let's just throw this out there. Ryan was easily the drunkest person.
He was like in 7 or 8 Yinglings deep before the draft even started.
It's so funny because he told me right before, he's like, I'm only gonna have 1. I don't want to be drunk for it.
But still, his team isn't great, but it's not terrible. Like Herbert's gonna have a big year. I think I'm still standing by my choice that the Chargers are going to get to the Super Bowl this year. Austin Eckler, obviously, he had to take him. Aaron Jones, I'm not big on him, but he's still Aaron Jones. Like I said before, CD, like as good as he is, just in his 3rd year, being in that wide receiver 1 role, I just don't know if he's wide receiver 1 material. Amari Cooper, he's going to be hit or miss too. I don't love him in a Browns uniform. Juju's really a sleeper because I know people really don't like him. I know you're not a big fan of him after what he did to you, but
who, Juju?
Yeah,
I don't think Juju's that bad of a pick. Like,
Mahomes.
It's so funny because Ryan's draft, the best way to talk about it is it's all picks that he didn't want to make but kept falling. So Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones fell to 3rd. You gotta take him. CeeDee Lamb, might be good. I think Austin Eckler's rock solid. Amari Cooper as your wide receiver 2 is questionable, but he has a lot of upside, especially late in the year. I hate the Dawson Knox pick, but he didn't really have a choice.
Well, he needed a tight end, and he was even asking me like, who should I take? And I was like, I think based off these tight ends that are left, Dawson Knox is a decent pick because just because of the team that he's on.
Yeah, I would have taken Cole Kmet just because Cole Kmet I think is gonna, even though the Bears are gonna stink, he is gonna get so many receptions. And Dawson Knox reminds me of Robert Tonyan from 2 years ago, where he had so many touchdowns and then he sucked the next year.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to take Zeke, but he had to because Zeke fell to the fourth. He didn't want to take Hunter Renfrow, but Hunter Renfrow kept falling. Miles Sanders he didn't want to take, but Miles Sanders kept falling. Chase Edmonds, I think he should have been happy with that pick. Chase Edmonds I thought was a great pick.
Yeah, where he got him, it was a good pick. I just don't know how well he's going to be. Like he was.
I wanted him.
I did too, but he wasn't great last year. Obviously, because James Conner took over, so maybe this could be a new beginning for him. Wasn't he on the Dolphins before the Cardinals?
Oh my God, the Cowboys are projected 3 points.
Wasn't Chase Edmonds on the Dolphins originally?
No,
or am I making that up?
He was on the Cardinals.
Okay.
Mostert was on the Dolphins before he was ever on.
Mostert's back there, and they have Myles Gaskin and Sony Michel. So
yes, it's crowded. And Salvin Ahmed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like Pickens as a late round flyer. I do not like Robbie Anderson.
I hate Robbie Anderson. I hope Baker never throws him the football.
I know, based on that's so funny. I think it seems like fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah, probably not going to win, but that's fine.
Yeah, he's not going to. Everyone hated Henry's team, but I also think it's just because Henry is the easiest person to make fun of, and he gets so upset, so he can't stop talking about it.
I mean, yeah, Henry's just the worst, but
yeah, totally.
On his team on paper, like if this was like,
it's not that bad.
It's not bad. Yeah, Russell Wilson.
I did not think this was the worst draft.
Swift and Chubb could be a good combo. His wide receivers are pretty good here.
I like his receivers a lot. And Hollywood's going to be really good at least the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, Kittle could have a big year.
Mm-hmm. And I think his bench is pretty solid too. Like honestly.
Yeah, he does. He does have a very solid bench. He does.
I don't know why he was voted, but it honestly probably just because he's such a meme.
Yeah, so he is.
He's an idiot.
And we got Brick.
All right, Brick's team. Ryan thought was terrible. I did not think Brick had a very good draft outside of
he's got a lot of great receivers with Diggs, Evans, Moore, Thielen, and Godwin when he comes back, and Garrett Wilson could be decent.
Yeah, but Gibson is terrible.
Yeah, his running backs aren't great.
Gibson, where he took him, was a very horrible pick, in my opinion. And also Gesicki is going to provide him nothing. Again, hot take, but I think he's going to be terrible. Diggs, you got to love Diggs. Mixon popped off last year, and now they have an O-line, but he doesn't catch balls. Yeah, his receivers are really good. Mike Evans, DJ Moore, really, really, really good. Adam Thielen could be really good in this new offense. And Godwin is huge when he comes back.
Yeah.
Again, this is another case of why would you take Stafford?
Yeah.
He doesn't make any sense.
I think it makes sense here because Dak's not great. And I don't love Dak. And I think Stafford, just in that offense, it could be a decent pick.
I just wouldn't have taken Dak, and I would have taken Stafford. And you could have gotten someone even better. That's Dash. I think his team is not great. But I don't think it's that bad. His receivers are really good. I feel like his receivers are always really good. Sacks are the first pick. This is going to be literally CMC. If he busts, he's going to lose.
Yeah, this is really hit or miss here because it's up.
The whole team is hit or miss.
Yeah, Brady isn't a great fantasy guy, but if he just throws darts and throws 3 touchdowns a game,
he was good last year for me.
Yeah, he was decent last year. McCaffrey, if Fournette's, if he's worth that 3rd round pick, he's got to prove it. Tyreek Hill is a good pick. Deontay Johnson's a great stud. I just don't know how I felt about him.
I just don't like him with the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't either.
A lot of guys have receiver talent too.
Yeah, a lot of receiver talent. DK is very talented too. He's just on a bad team. I mean, I know he's better, but I'm putting him in the same basket as Tyler Lockett. Just they're 2 talented wide receivers who are just gonna have to find a way to get the football.
Yeah. I like Goddard. I don't know how that'll work in that offense though.
A lot of
Mooney
people
is a
really
good
high
player.
on Mooney.
What?
A lot of people really high on Mooney. I just don't love him because he's on such a bad team.
Yeah, it's a bad team, but Mooney is like, I mean, he's gonna get so many targets.
I
Like,
think
he's really good for PPR.
Yeah, at some point I'll put Brees Hall in for Mooney probably.
Brees Hall at the 7th pick was unreal. Ayuk could be really good this year. He's gotten rave reviews. I hate Jacoby Myers because he's no upside. Last year, Trey Lance could be the ultimate upside. Kenneth Walker, he's like fine. I think it's a solid team, but it's really hit or miss in that first starting lineup.
Yeah, I think early prediction. Try not to be biased here. If Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt, Kamara plays the whole season, Michael Thomas somehow plays and does decent, and then Hopkins comes back, I have a pretty good chance. If not, I'm probably going to go with Rosen's team. I think Rosen has a very sneaky good team.
Yeah, I think Rosen's team is pretty good. I think outside of my own, I would say Rosen's, but I like your team too. I think my team, if it pops, is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely have a good starting lineup.
Like my bench is all upside, so like we'll see if that actually plays out. But I think worst team still is Billy, and then Sam.
Mm-hmm.
But it's close. You wouldn't dare. Wait, you can make a comment.
Al, it's up to you to decide.
Oh, look, a notification.
So yeah,
right.
That was our draft, and it was always fun to do that. I had the 6th pick last year as well, and I went to Devontae Adams and Jonathan Taylor, which were 2 fantastic picks for me. It just didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. And it's like, it doesn't matter how good your team looks on paper. If your players don't perform,
decline.
And if there's injuries, your team's just not going to pan out the way you would, want it to be. But that's the thing about fantasy. It's a fantasy world, and you want your wishes to come true. A lot of it, I think it's just like 60% luck, 40% skill.
Yeah. 20% concentrated power of will.
I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't know the lyrics.
5% pleasure, 50%
100% reason to remember the name.
He doesn't like a name open mics. He just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat or the mic. He feels so unlike anybody else alone, in spite of the fact that people don't even know him. But fuck.
All right. On that note,
I can't believe I remember that.
We've been talking for 92 minutes now.
No, 93 now.
So let's wrap this puppy up. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our fantasy draft. If you have not done your draft yet, hopefully you can use some of our picks and advice, and it could lead you in the right direction. If you're doing a 10-man league, a lot of people do 12-man leagues, but yeah, that's all for now.
Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. JumpStart Sports.
Catch them all.